So, after being diagnosed, I was discharged the next day. And they put me on Florinef, which is fluorocortisone, I think. Not positive. Florinef. And I get better. It gets me out of bed, but I'm still experiencing a lot of presyncope, a lot of weakness, a lot of dizziness, a lot of everything. And so eventually they put me on Midodrine. And I've done so much better. They took me off of Florinef because it was messing with my blood sugar. So coming home and having this diagnosis was a little surreal. And it was funny because when I was in the hospital for a week, but I'd been in and out of the hospital for over a month, I didn't cry. It was because I was just so tired and I was so overwhelmed, and all I could feel was just how terrible I felt, that I don't think I could process much. So it was kind of a survival mode. So for the first week after being home, it was weird because, they prescribed the compression stockings, the 30 to 40 millimeters mercury, the pressure stockings. And in the beginning, these were the stockings they gave you where it was prescribed, and they were tan and they were old lady color and they didn't have a silicone border, so they fell down. They always slipped down. And so I bought like a garter belt to keep them up. But then the garter belts were stretching and it was uncomfortable, and the straps were digging into my skin, and I was always adjusting them and pulling them up. And you can't wear pants with the garters on because they dig in. So then I was wearing skirts and dresses, and I was never a skirt or a dress person. So it was so much change. I'd been living on my own. Now I'm living with my parents. I was a pants person. Now I'm wearing these dresses and I don't know how to dress myself. I can't take hot showers because I'll pass out. So my parents are always checking on me when I take showers. And in the beginning, I couldn't take a shower by myself. I was working and I was going to school, and then I couldn't do either. I had to drop out of school because I was missing too much. I had to be on medical leave from work because I was missing and I was just too sick to go. And so I went from being busy to being stagnant, and I went from having some fashion sense to none, and, freedom to none, because every time you pass out, it's at least 3 months of no driving. And driving is my freedom. It's what I love to do. And so I couldn't go anywhere by myself, and I couldn't do anything by myself, and I had no individuality. I was dependent completely on everyone. And everything was eat more salt and drink more water, and don't eat this because it'll make you nauseous, and don't do this because it'll make you tired. And it was just, it's so hot in my room right now, oh my gosh. So much new, and I felt like I lost so much of myself. I'd lost the life that I created for myself after going to college. It was everything I had worked for, everything I wanted to do, I couldn't do anymore. And about a week after being home, I was sitting there and I was researching other people who had it and their experiences, and looking up Dysautonomia International, and I'm desperately trying to find information to make life easier. And I'm looking at all of these people who are so miserable, and they're saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this anymore. and they're athletes and they're really active people, and I was always one to do sports. I was always super active. So the list of things I couldn't do just seemed to pile on, and I felt like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't run, I couldn't walk very far, I couldn't be hot, there was so much I can't. I can no longer do this. So it was loss on top of loss on top of loss. And I had no sense of self anymore. I'd always prided myself on being a physically strong person. If I can go forward, I can do anything if my body holds up. If I just keep walking, if I just keep going, if I just keep studying, I can do it. So all of a sudden, my body was not my own, and my body was working against me. And so I didn't have work, and I didn't have school, and I didn't have, my car. I didn't have freedom, and I couldn't even rely on myself. And it was a complete destruction of my life. And I felt like I'd lost everything, and there was nothing left, and it had been stripped to its foundation. And so that about a week out, I was researching, and all of that loss and anger and angst and I can't, and I hurt, and I'm tired, and I just don't feel good. After being sick for over a month and having no relief and being bedbound and losing muscle and being on the Florinef, which makes you hold water, which makes you bloated. So there was nothing in my control. And that was the first time I just cried, because it was the first time I realized the loss, and coming to grips with the fact that my life had been forever changed, and that I was going to have to learn how to do stuff again, and how to alter my life in a way that worked. And just kind of rebuilding my life after losing it. And I realized I was going to have to figure out who I was outside of school and outside of work and outside of fashion and outside of the box that I'd made for myself, because my self-confidence came from, I can do anything. If I just study hard enough, if I run fast enough, I can do it. I can, if my body holds up, I can do anything. I'm a strong person because I'm physically strong, not just mentally strong. So I realized I was going to have to learn who I was outside of my career goals and outside of what made me a strong person. And so, I want to be a nurse, and I don't know if I can do that anymore because it's long hours on your feet. So it was the first time I realized that the goal I had been working for so long may be completely out of my reach. I was a senior in high school, or not a senior in high school, a senior in college. I'd gone through all 4 years. I'd done all my prereqs. I was ready. I'd applied to the nursing program. So it was like I was just on the precipice of reaching my goal and realizing I may have to start all over again. And trying to figure out what, nursing has always been what I wanted to do from the time I was 7. So it became, well, what do I do with the rest of my life? So it wasn't just I'd lost the work I was at, or that I'd lost my health, but I had lost my future, what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So that was kind of the first stage, was grief. You know, the loss of the life you had before, the loss of the person you were before. And so you have to give yourself that moment. And there are always going to be moments down the road where you say, this isn't fair. I've lost my youth. I can't do what other people my age can do. I can't be who I wanted to be. And you're angry and you're pissed because you've been cheated out of so many things. And that's okay. But something that I had to realize, and what everyone else has to realize, is that you are allowed to have your moment. And you're allowed to grieve. And no one else is allowed to tell you when to stop grieving. Because I think it's always going to be a process. You're always going to have a moment where you've just had a bad day. And it's just going to catch up with you. But you can't stay there. At some point, you have to get up. And you have to realize, okay, these are the cards I've been dealt. Now I have to do what I will with them. So I had that period of time where I grieved for me and for the life I lived and for what my family was going to have to go through. But there came a point where I decided, fine, if I'm going to wear tights, I'm going to make it look cute. And if that means wearing dresses, I'll figure it out. I'll make my own, my own fashion. And, if I'm going to need a shower chair, screw it. I'm going to paint it galaxy colors. You have to be able to laugh. And you have to be able to figure out a way to make it fun and a way to make it livable. So that was my first step in accepting my diagnosis with neurocardiogenic syncope.